Thanks, Sarah. It does feel a wee while since we've done a webinar, and I must admit I nearly clicked leave meeting on that message there, so I'm very glad I didn't do that. That would have that would have left you snookered. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and spend an hour with us talking about one of the Chamber's key themes for this year and next year. Earlier on this year, we did an event with Dundee University's Business School, where we were talking about the future recovery. What does the future of business look like? And that's kind of distilled itself into 4 key themes for us going forward. Net zero clearly is something that's absolutely top of mind for so many people. Digital innovation is another one of our themes. The future of workplaces and work and what all of that looks like is one of them too, but something that in one shape or form we're talking to everybody about is future skills. And, you know, again, we have been talking about this for a long time, trying to get people to think about how, you know, digital and automation is coming into businesses and how that affects people's skills, and trying to encourage individuals in businesses themselves to think about their skills and, you know, go knocking on your employer's door for some training or kind of upskilling, or thinking about what the future of your job might look like and how that might change, and that might give you a personal opportunity to kind of move into something else. But also, you know, we know that employers are considering what their future jobs look like, and the fact that there may not be so many of the kind of the basic admin type or basic manual tasks. So how does that mean that you're designing future jobs for people, and how do you design for young people that want something completely different and you've not even thought of what their job might look like yet? So there's just so much to this topic. Anyway, this is about just thinking about strategy and future proofing your business and thinking about those skills. So I'm really delighted that we're going to hear from a few people this morning. As Sarah said, we've got Anas and Shannon from NCR, and you know, NCR, one of those kind of stories of, you know, if you've been in around Dundee for a long time, but like me, too long, where, you know, we saw considerable change to NCR's business, and they built that amazing new building on the Kingsway, and we all wondered how long they might be in it, and yet they're going nowhere, and really investing and doing some amazing things out of there in a different way than they did on that whole big site, you know, all those years ago. And then we've got Karen from the college, who is going to look at how you can think about those skills gaps, but also, you know, I'm pretty sure she'll be talking about the work they're doing with employers and how much they're helping us invest in the training and those kind of strategy sessions that you know you need to do when you're thinking about what does the future look like for you and your business. And then delighted to have Jamie Hepburn MSP. So Jamie is Minister for Higher Education and Further Education, Youth Employment and Training, and I've personally done a lot of work with him when we've talked about developing young workforce and how those regional groups are really helping employers connecting with the colleges and schools and our young people and helping them be inspired by the world of work. So it will be an interesting time for us to hear from them, get some updates, and then you'll get a chance to ask them all sorts of interesting questions. So those piercing questions that come up in a panel session. Anyway, I am going to stop talking and just say thank you in advance to our speakers. I'll come back on and do those questions, pick anything up from the chat we've got, and give you all as attendees a chance to come in and just ask your questions. So Anas and Shannon, over to you both. Let's hear your story. And when I can hear you, I will mute and get out of the way.
Thanks, Alison. So yeah, hi to everyone. Oh, let's change my screen here. Sorry. So I had it on full screen. So hi, thanks again, Alison, and glad to be here for myself as well as Shannon. So you'll hear from me first, and then Shannon is one of our recent graduates who would then be able to talk about her experience joining NCR. But to start off with, my name is Anas Mali, and I lead our university hiring team for NCR across EMEA. And my focus is on attracting, hiring, and offering best-in-class onboarding experience to our top early career talent into our various business functions. I've been with NCR for around 4.5 years, but I've been only focused within university hiring for the past 2 years. What can I say? This is where my passion lies. In our modern society and global company, it's crucial for us to enable our employees, especially the generations Y and Z, to network and broaden their interactions, not just within their business groups, but across various countries and cultures, as we believe this will enable us to future-proof our business as it represents the interconnected world we live in and customers we serve. I've been asked to speak today to offer a case study almost to what we have done as a company to ensure we offer the best experience possible to our early career talent coming into NCR. So firstly, let me begin with a quick intro to who we are as a company. And Alison, you touched upon it, but I think it's crucial to say that I think it's a 135-year-old company. And so if anything, we know how to adapt. In our modern form, we create software and hardware solutions for restaurants, retailers, and banks. And we are the #1 global point of sale software provider for retailers, hospitality. Each one of you here would have at one point in time used one of our products. Retailers like Tesco, Sainsbury's, or maybe McDonald's self-order points, all NCR products. And we are the #1 provider of multi-vendor ATM and software. Again, if you have used an ATM or used mobile banking, chances are you would have used an NCR ATM machine or a back-end mobile banking software that is made in NCR. Okay, so now you know who we are. Let's dig into the case study. What you will hear today will not blow your mind. It's not groundbreaking or reinventing the wheel. What I want to share here today is what worked well for us and highlight if you focus on your business and people priorities and do the simple things well, you will be able to adapt your practices in order to remain future-proof. As an organization, when it comes to university hiring, we aim to be proactive as opposed to reactive. I just want to kind of double check, can you still see the screen that Shannon is sharing? Okay, perfect. And so about being proactive and reactive. And so year on year, we aim to set our university hiring demand year in advance. We partner with our senior business and HR leaders teams to review team structure, skill gaps, and forecast future growth. This support allows our leaders and their downstream managers to continually review their team structures and how they function, and so keeping them modern and productive. In 2019, we aimed high for 2020, not anticipating anything called COVID. We targeted to hire around 50 interns and graduates locally in Dundee, but unfortunately, we were only able to honor over half of the offers we made before COVID struck, as we needed to shift our focus to our existing employees and business critical hiring. But with that being said, to honor and continue to onboard our new university joiners in a virtual manner that was never done before is a testament to our business and CEOs focus on early talent and recognizing their importance. 2020 offered us many learning opportunities. And so when it came to forecasting and strategizing a 2021 university hiring cycle, we needed to adapt to the environment and put in place a contingency plan for whatever situation lay ahead of us. And so as a company, because of COVID, it emphasized the importance of early career talent and highlighted how we really needed to continually invest in the next generation of our workforce. And so with that, we saw even higher demand numbers come from our leaders wanting to invest in interns and graduates, and not just across our UK sites, but globally, where we welcomed over 1,000 new interns and graduates in 2021, 64 of those based in the UK and majority of them based in Dundee. With everything becoming virtual, from a recruitment standpoint, it allowed us as a company to attend more events and tap into candidate pools that were never previously available to us due to various reasons such as cost and location. This really enabled us not to only interact, but hire more diverse students than ever before. Example being an intern who is studying in Bristol is from and living in Sweden, but she is working on a project which is based in Dundee. As we move towards a more hybrid future workplace, I have a strong belief that we will continue to implement physical and virtual market strategies because the benefits of being able to utilize technology has really opened up new opportunities to leverage the great skills and students have in other locations that were previously, well, we saw them as an obstacle to interact with. Continuing on the theme of recruitment, we reviewed our processes and previous year candidate and manager surveys, which offered us data points that enable us to drive change based on facts. And from this, we revised our recruitment process and focused our approach similar to our company tagline, making simple possible. And so we reviewed our process from an internal perspective, i.e. how our business managers are part of the process, and also externally, i.e. how the candidates go through the process. And doing this exercise allowed us to formulate a much leaner process for both parties. We went from a 4-step process to 2, ultimately halving the process time for both parties. And this really gave us success of hiring more efficiently and eliminating the likelihood of losing talent from our process to competitors. And I think, Alison, you mentioned that at the start there, how people were kind of dropping out and not turning up to interviews and stuff. This leaner process gives time back to the business managers. And we also encourage managers to involve junior team members, which in turn give the business leaders much more insightful and diverse feedback. And at the same time, empowering those junior team members involved. And Shannon, if you can go to the next slide, please. And because of the remote nature of the situation, we also had to think of the in-between stage of post-offer and pre-onboarding. The team focused on regular cadence with our future new joiners. And we also empowered our business managers to reach out to their future joiners with regular updates and invites to any team social events. This really kept our new joiners focused on NCR, as well as engaged and informed of any updates and key future initiatives. So far we've identified our top talent, we have them engaged, now what? And for me, the biggest learning curve from previous years and the most important factor was how do we offer an amazing onboarding experience within a 100% virtual environment? Firstly, we started with what we already knew. For many things are supported by data for us. And so when we reviewed our previous year new joiner and business manager surveys and considered the virtual nature of the situation, we began to map out our success factors for 2021 hiring cycle. We recognized simply and very quickly that converting everything that we do physically into virtually will not work. And with that in mind, we understood that our attention span is much lower when it comes to virtual events. And so our onboarding plan ensured that we accommodate a more frequent and a mix of short and long breaks. We also reviewed our pre-existing tech resources and were able to design and implement a platform that offered a virtual reality NCR office, where new joiners were able to navigate through their 2-day onboarding experience and be able to access resources before, during, and after events, which we felt was very important. In 2021, for the first time in our university hiring history, we were able to onboard interns and graduates from across the UK and Europe, so ranging from Dundee, London to Serbia, all in one group. And this really opened up the opportunity for cross-business and regional knowledge sharing and cultural integration. Also, by mixing interns and graduates, it really enabled cross-networking and highlighting to interns what their future career path with NCR can look like. And during the onboarding, we held 16 workshops that range from diversity and inclusion all the way to business leadership welcome sessions. We also ensured our new joiners were offered plenty of opportunities to interact with one another, not just within their first week, but beyond this. I briefly kind of mentioned earlier that we have an amazing CEO who is a huge advocate of early talent. And when it comes to early talent, and so our onboarding includes him, which reflects his commitment and dedication that goes beyond just words. I'm quoting one of our recent interns, "It's not every day you get to meet your company's CEO, never mind on your first day as an intern." Onboarding usually involves multiple teams, and so we partnered with our HR team to roll out a wellness week within our onboarding days. During a very isolated time in society where mental health and well-being is continuously challenged, we as a company wanted to ensure we give back to our employees and emphasize the importance of self-care. As a company, we also host a global on-conference week and a hackathon, which we ensure that falls within the time we have our interns. This event not only allows opportunity for many to learn and put into practice some of their capabilities, but also enables individuals to collaborate and utilize their skills in an experimental environment, enabling them to learn beyond their day-to-day roles. I also believe investing in learning is key to our success in expanding our workforce skills. This year within our university program, we ensured to incorporate a year-long learning curriculum for our graduates and a similar condensed version for our interns. The training is based on NCR core values, but is critically focused on developing interpersonal skills of our early talent, where they can develop and learn new skills outside of their day-to-day jobs. Beyond hiring external skills, it's equally important to offer a learning culture. And so we as a company have invested on various learning platforms that are continuously offered to all of our employees. We also empower our business leaders to offer growth opportunities to their employees who want to pursue further education. And so we ensure to partner with them and share various development initiatives, such as graduate partner apprenticeships, etc. Lastly, harvest a culture that celebrates success. This year, we have made financial investment in technologies that enables all our employees to recognize and reward their colleagues more instantly and openly. Furthermore, every year before our interns close out their summer internships, we host an Intern Expo, which is a unique opportunity for all our interns to showcase their projects and celebrate their accomplishments. What the Intern Expo also does is allow senior business leaders to reflect and see direct value from their investment from our university hiring program, which in turn gives them further justification for further growth and investment, and so bringing it back full circle by investing in early career talent and future-proofing our business. And now I want to pass it on to Shannon, who has went through this process herself and hopefully can share a bit more of an insight from her perspective to how it went.
Thanks, Anas. So hi, I'm Shannon Mcgrath and I'm a graduate mechanical engineer at Ncr. I graduated from the University of Dundee in July this year and had my entire final year held completely remotely. So my Ncr journey started when I was discussing with co-workers at my part-time job that I was looking for an engineering summer internship way back in November 2019. A colleague recommended Ncr, a company his brother worked for who seemed to carry out some interesting work, provide a good experience for newly qualified engineers, and put their employees first. I was passed on Anas's email through this colleague, whom I sent my CV and cover letter to. A couple of months later, I had still had no luck with gaining a summer internship and was starting to give up hope with hours spent completing application forms and aptitude tests. Then I received a phone call from Anas to chat about my CV and to see if I was still interested in an internship opportunity. 2 days later, I attended an in-person interview and shortly after was offered the position for summer 2020. I was so excited, especially as Ncr had just announced an open day for university students to attend, and I realised just how many students would be applying for the same opportunity I'd just been offered. A month later, the pandemic hit, and I was a bit concerned as to what the future would hold and if the internship would even go ahead. In April, Ncr contacted all those offered a position for the summer to announce that although we wouldn't be able to go into the office, they would still honour their offer of an internship and it would go ahead remotely. I was so relieved, although I was a little apprehensive as I wasn't sure how I'd get on working from home with colleagues and mentors who I'd never met before. Anas and his team did a brilliant job during our first week and continued throughout the summer with many new starts meetings, onboarding sessions, online socials, and we finished off the summer with our virtual Intern Expo. This was an opportunity to showcase all the hard work that we'd done throughout the summer. Despite being completely remote, daily team face-to-face meetings helped me to settle in, and I was able to collect some hardware to help me familiarise myself with what I'd be working on. I was also given a mentor and made to feel welcome by all members of staff, from recent graduates to senior management team. I feel extremely privileged to have been given that opportunity, and I don't think I'd be in the fortunate position I'm in right now if Ncr had cancelled their internship programme as so many other companies had to do. Towards the end of the summer, I was thinking of possible projects that I could do for my final year of my degree. This is when I came into discussion with my mentor of continuing my Ncr summer project. This was quickly given the go-ahead, and I was kept on at the end of my internship part-time so that I could continue to work on the project that benefited both my learning and the company's needs. Only a month later, I received a call from Anas to offer me a full-time graduate job starting in June 2021. I was actually just in the middle of an online careers fair when Anas called me, and it couldn't have come at a better time. I quickly accepted, and this meant that for the remainder of my studies, I could relax and put all my focus and efforts into achieving the best marks possible. The onboarding experience this summer for all new graduates and interns was even more organised and involved than the previous year. Again, it was all held remotely. And as the company moves into a hybrid working model and we're returning to office, there are now plans for further in-person inductions for all new starts who haven't actually worked in the building yet. So that's my Ncr journey so far in a nutshell. I'll always be very thankful for that conversation I had with my old colleague almost 2 years ago now, as without that I may have never found this opportunity. I'm now settled in well, working on my own tasks with my team at Ncr, and I've recommended many fellow graduates to apply for jobs within. The recruitment process was straightforward and only had a couple of stages, which made the role much more appealing and reduced pressure and stress as it was such a busy time in my studies. There are so many opportunities to continue growing and learning at Ncr. You're fully supported all the way from managers and other colleagues. NCR is an incredible company to work for, and you're treated as though you're part of a big family. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll pass back to Alison.
Thanks so much, Shannon. That's really interesting and inspiring to kind of hear it from you as well as from all of your colleagues at NAS. Thank you so much. Karen from Dundee and Angus College, over to you.
Thank you, Alison. Let me just share my screen. Can everyone see that okay, yeah?
Sure can, yep.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm Karen Gibson, I'm the Economics Partnership Manager at Dundee and Angus College. It's quite a new role, actually. I just started this year, so I too started during lockdown, and I've learned this job virtual. So yeah, well done, Shannon. It's tough, but yeah, good learning opportunity. So I was brought on board at the college. I guess the college recognised now more than ever, as Alison said at the start, that there is a real need for skills support for the business community. And we really want to make sure that Dundee and Angus College play a leading role in that. And so I wanted to just take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about what I've been up to over the past couple of months and on what support's available for you. So I'll talk about our business partnership team, the vision for that team, the support that is on offer to you as local business owners, and I'll touch on some funding that's available as well so that you could use that to access some training. So I mentioned that I'm new into the team. One of the first things that I done was speak to the local business community and ask them, you know, how do you access business training? Where do you go to? Do you use the college? If not, why? What are the barriers to accessing training? And one of the first things that I learned was people, they quite frankly didn't know how to get to us. We are a large organisation, and that can often mean it's quite intimidating approaching the college and knowing who to speak to. So one of the first things that I have done is implemented a new business partnership team, and they are your point of contact for business support and or partnership working. So I have a team of highly skilled advisors who will work with you to identify your training needs and support you to access the training that you require to enhance the skills of your workforce. So whether you are building back, whether you're diversifying your business, whether you're looking to grow the business, or even if you're just looking to create a better working environment and invest in your staff, that team is your point of contact and they will have a solution for you. So the vision for the team and for the wider college is to ensure that Dundee and Angus College is your go-to training provider and that you have access to first-class training at different stages throughout the life of your business. So it's important that, you know, training isn't a one and done. You will have different training needs throughout the life of your business, and your staff will have different training needs throughout the life of their career. And it's important that you know that you can come to us throughout that journey and that there's different support available along the process. So our vision is to have a curriculum offer that is aligned with industry need. So we want to ensure that the training that we are offering is training for our students and for your staff that give them the right skills to thrive within your business. And that means working together sometimes to help create that training material. Our vision is to ensure that the college also works in collaboration with the wider business support partners so that we can ensure that we make appropriate referrals to allow you to get to get access to all the different business support that is available. So it's not about coming to the college and keeping you to ourselves. It's not that in any way. We want to work with our partners and our wider colleagues to make sure that you can access as much support as possible. Now, what that support looks like. So I mentioned that we had the business partnership team, and we have a team of skills advisors. So they are your advisors. So on approaching us, you will be allocated a dedicated skills advisor, and they'll work with you one-to-one to carry out a training needs analysis and help you identify what your current, but also what your forecast future skills gaps are and what training is required. So when we talk about a training needs analysis, there's not really a one shape fits all. So we work with you and we work through a series of different questions, different scoring mechanisms, And we take into consideration what your business goals are for the future, as well as external factors such as emerging technologies, advancing or declining sectors. We look at your staffing, your infrastructure, what your current skill sets are, and we work with you to then identify what the gaps are and what training you need and what your staff need to allow your business not just for the here and now, but allow your business to have a workforce that can grow and evolve with you to allow your business to flourish. So we'll work with you to identify what your needs are, but then we'll also work with you to make sure that you could access that training as well. And so as a college, we have, well over 100 courses that are available for businesses. But we also have a team of trainers that are there to shape and design training courses for you. So if you have a particular challenge within your business, we will work with you to create a solution for that. We also have our Service Design Academy as well. And again, they're on hand. They have a variety of different courses, but again, offer a very bespoke, tailored service as well to help you look at what solutions you need to the current and future challenges you may have. We also work with you to support you to access future talent. And where required, we'll make introductions to different specialists internally. So we have a range of apprentices, that fully funded apprenticeship offering, as well as employability sector academies as well. So if you are looking to take on a young person, if you have a young person and you're looking to train them while they're in the world of work, we can work with you and support you to give them the skills that they're needing, again, as they evolve and grow within their job. But likewise, if you are a business that's looking to take on multiple people at one time and you're struggling, we could work with you to create a sector academy where we could bring in multiple individuals, put them through a 6-week or a 12-week training school, and hopefully at the end of that they'll become more ready for employment within your business. And we would work with you to create what that looks like. We have also just recently launched new free online courses. So recognising that individuals want to learn, and that we're targeting a new audience. So people are busy, they're working. We recognise as a college we need to deliver different. It's not about courses between 9 and 5 and coming on campus and sitting in a classroom environment anymore. We are adapting, we're diversifying, we're digitising, and we did launch a suite of new training material. So we have around 12 courses at the moment, and they're all sitting within business courses, they're around career development and really within the care sector, looking at upskilling in digital and leadership and management as well. We are working away in the background, creating lots of more courses in topical areas that are all relevant to what the businesses are telling us they need at the moment, and we will hopefully be to market with them over the next few weeks. Where possible, we'll always look at what funded initiatives are available first. So we want to try and help reduce the cost of which training has on your business. So we will always look at fully funded offerings. So we do have fully and part funded modern apprenticeship fees, as well as fully funded training courses that are available to you through the Flexible Workforce Development Fund. So we are partners of the fund, we administer it and we manage it internally. So what is a sort of overview of the fund. It has been around for a number of years now. Levy paying businesses can access up to £15,000 worth of training, and that's been around for 4 years, and just last year it was expanded, and now your SME market can access up to £5,000 worth of training. And so essentially what our skills advisors would do is carry out a training needs analysis with you, identify what that training is that you need, and then where possible we will look to fund it through the Flexible Workforce Development Fund. So that's me at the moment. What I've done is I've listed some contact details for you. What we'd really like to do is engage with you as a business. So you've got my email address there, but you've also got our LinkedIn page where we post all of our updates and what's happening, as well as our Twitter page. And we've just recently launched a new bi-monthly newsletter so that we could help better communicate all the different initiatives and projects that are happening within the college, and you can register your details there. So I'll pass back to Alison now.
Thank you. My cursor was way away from the mute and unmute button there. Sorry about that, slight delayed reaction. Thank you, Karen. So, Mr. Hepburn, over to you. I'm giving you your Sunday name. Looking forward to hearing about the Future Skills Action Plan.
Okay, well, thank you, Alison, and thank you for your invitation to be with you today. I've had the pleasure of engaging with you as a Chamber of Commerce in my previous role when I was the Minister for Business, Fair Work and Skills. It's interesting here that Karen and Shannon have just begun new roles. I am in the similar place to them in relation to my new responsibilities as well. One of the recurrent things, of course, that we did speak about when I was a Minister for Business was the necessity for our skills system to be ever more responsive to the requirements of our employer base across the country. And the Future Skills Action Plan that you spoke of is very much framed and geared towards that end. It was actually published in 2019. I know that we place ourselves in the context, how could we, given the experience the last 18 months, do anything other than thinking through everything through the prism of our experience of COVID-19. And whilst COVID-19 has undoubtedly highlighted and put a real focus on some of the challenges we have in our labour market in terms of skill shortages, labour shortages, these were trends that were already underway. And the fact that the plan was first put in place in 2019 is hopefully an indication that these were elements that we were alert to and we recognised that we needed to be responsive to. Effectively, the plan is underpinned by 4 themes that are inextricably interlinked with one another. That first one, to be a more agile and responsive system, is the first. The second is to enhance access to upskilling and retraining opportunities on the basis of that need to be more responsive to employer requirements, to ensure that we have a system that's sustainable, and to accelerate the implementation of the Learner Journey review that the Deputy First Minister commissioned when he had responsibility for education and skills, very much designed around ensuring that we have an education system from the senior phase of school that interlinks with post-school education, training and employment far better, and developing the young workforce, of course, is a key element of that. As much as I'm saying that the plan predates the pandemic, which it undoubtedly does, there is no denying that how we come through the pandemic and recover from the pandemic will provide much of the backdrop and the context for the practical application of some of the plans, commitments that we've still to take forward. But of course, there are other challenges as well. Brexit has, of course, been a recurrent theme for the last number of years, and we're now starting to see some of the impact of that in terms of labour supply challenges. Demographic change is another driver for our Future Skills Action Plan. With an ageing population comes an ageing workforce. With an ageing workforce comes a requirement to make sure that we're upskilling that workforce. Some of the changes we're seeing in sectors and in terms of economic behaviour, high street retail is a really good example of that. People are moving away from getting out and about and visiting the high street and doing much more online retail. very much exacerbated by the pandemic, but something that was already a trend that was underway. So as that leads to changes in the economy, also lead to changes in the labour market. How do we support people when they're transitioning from one area of the economy to another? And the big challenge that we face is making sure that we have a population that's got the requisite skill set to deal with the advances in technology, automation and digitisation, which is a challenge on the one hand, but also a massive opportunity for us as well if we get it right in terms of productivity, experience of work, and indeed if we can get it really correct, making sure that some of that technology is being manufactured here in Scotland. So that's the context of the Future Skills Action Plan. We, of course, need to make sure it continues to be consistent with where we are just now, where we want to get to. One of the things that we're already committed to doing, but it seems particularly apposite and appropriate to do because of the experience of the last 18 months, was to take stock of where we are in terms of the first couple of years of trying to take forward the Future Skills Action Plan, but also consider all the various impacts of the changes that I've spoken about, but also how do we better embed relationships with the business community, with employers more generally, to make sure that they feel they're getting the chance to influence the skills system. Karen just spoke about a really good example of that, a forward-thinking college, making sure it's engaging with its base of employers in its area to be more responsive to employer need, and also to make sure that employers, small and medium enterprises in particular, are being appraised of the opportunities that exist for them to engage with our skills system. That's my ambition for the skills system in a nutshell, really, to be agile, to be responsive, in whatever manifestation that might be. Apprenticeships, of course, we put in place the Young Person's Guarantee, the National Transition Training Fund, which is very much geared towards that element of reskilling and upskilling. The Flex Workforce Development Fund, which Karen spoke about, something that we implemented as a government, and provide funding to the college sector to deliver, all geared towards that end. So, you know, that's a fairly, we don't have much time, and I'll need to apologise to folk. I've got a meeting at 11 o'clock, so I might need to nip off about 5 to, but given the time, I wouldn't say much more than that. Alison, happy to hear what people have to say, and as part of the panel to respond to any questions or hear any points that are made.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So I've taken a few notes, and I've got a few questions myself, but if anybody does want to drop anything into the chat or put their virtual hand up, then please do so. I'm going to maybe just kick off with something that I'll just ask each of our speakers about, and it'll be interesting to get, you know, just to, I guess, hear what your own organisations are doing on this. So I read a recent article, it was being shared actually on LinkedIn, and it was about the death of email, essentially, as a work tool, a work communication tool. But it was an interesting angle because it was basically saying that Generation Y and Z, you know, just don't understand email, full stop. And I think I've got, you know, I think we see that with some of the young people that have come into our team. But the angle was the email is dead because it's not a quick enough mechanism for getting communication back. So particularly young people are not using email, but are preferring chat like WhatsApp. And so I was interested because I'm, you know, as a business, I don't think we fully explored. We have live chat on our website, our new website, which is quite exciting, you know, and we get quite excited when there's a bit of a ping and somebody's doing a bit of a live chat. But internally, we're using Teams, like a lot of you will be. But I'm just interested in how, you know, that email is dead, something else is not, and how that's working in your own organisations internally. But actually, more importantly, how are you using it externally, and how are your young people adapting, and just, are your organisations all over it, and what can you teach me about that? So I might just, conscious of time, Jamie, I'm not sure, you know, if you maybe want to come in first, I'll go to Karen and then we'll do Anas and Sharon. And then, you know, if you need to then disappear off or stop telling us Scottish Government secrets about your communication systems, then you can sneak away.
Well, I didn't know email was dead or dying, so it's news to me. That's probably an indication of the advanced years that I'm heading towards. Although I do recall I'm reliably informed Facebook is for old people as well, so you kind of you find yourself in these strange circumstances you didn't think you would when you were younger. I suppose I could respond to that in one of two ways. Wearing my government hat, this is actually one of the challenges we face, because in terms of probity, absolutely correctly, incidentally, probity and transparency and having a trail of correspondence and the rest of it, there's probably a tendency not to use that form of communication, whereas, you know, you can get an email trail the same way you used to be able to get a paper trail, I suppose. So I suspect, you know, it'll probably be being used informally by many civil servants, but not as a formal means of communication. The flip side of that is, with my parliamentary hat on, I haven't really stopped to consider it yet. We as an office are using WhatsApp. That's not to say we aren't using email, but I guess there's just a natural transition to using that as a very quick form of communication, probably led by the fact that we have some folk who are younger than I am working in my office, so they've probably assisted this process. I guess that's just one of the natural evolutions of the way of working, and eventually an organisation needs to be alert to it and catch up to it and come along to things like this meeting to learn that email's dying and you better be on the front foot. So I guess I'll need to adapt and respond myself.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Of course, that is not even talking about the telephone, but that's a whole other conversation. Karen.
Yeah, no, I think what Jamie says, it is very much a natural evolution. I guess internally for teaching our student base and how we communicate as a workforce, we very quickly integrated Teams. And I think, like any business, we very quickly digitized and looked for solutions, and some of it's been massively successful, because I think we're all quite instantaneous right now. I don't just think it is the younger generation. I think we all want answers here and now and to move quite quickly. I think that the challenge we might have is how sustainable is some of the systems that we very quickly implemented. And I know that as an organisation, that's what we're looking for right now. You know, I think when we went into lockdown, we did diversify, we digitized really quickly, but we never ever thought it was for the long term. It was quick solutions, and we've had to continue using them. And so I know as a business now, we're looking at those solutions, those systems that we did integrate, and we're saying, actually, they are here to stay. But are they the right systems? Are they sustainable? Can they do us, you know, can we work with them long term? And that's from both teaching our students, but also then supporting the wider business community with our systems as well.
Great, thank you, Karen. And I can, on my screen, I can see your colleague Marilyn Boyle sitting up on top of all of our screens, and I can even hear her saying, what do your customers want? Because if you don't do that research and design something that your customers and your staff want, then you're wasting your time. But anyway, Shannon, over to you.
From my perspective, and I think just to even add on to Karen's point there, we do have teams and we have various different kind of instant messaging kind of channels internally, and the problem I think we actually have, we've diversified even more than that. We've got certain groups are using one thing and other using other, so I think even as an organization we've kind of given too many options. So that's always, I think, the flip side of having options and opportunities to kind of diversify. But I think the main point is just to have that instant communication is the fundamental part of it all. And I think it works for example, software engineers, but maybe it doesn't for other kind of areas of business. So for us, it's just having options, and it's a good way just to kind of be able to network internally. From a recruitment standpoint, just putting on the kind of university hiring kind of hat on, I think it's about formal and informal, how we communicate externally with the students. And I think we find it a lot more personable and a lot more efficient to be almost informal in our approach. So a quick phone call that comes at this point in time, we're all working from home, so it's coming from our kind of mobile numbers, and we tend to get more people responding, for example, as opposed to privatizing your number, because there's so many spam calls these days that we don't actually get an answer. So for us, really, is just having that informal approach where even, I know the death of the email, I haven't read myself, but an email that then connects them to a phone call, I think, is a lot more interactive, as opposed to just getting a formal response from them via email. So our emails would tend to be, when are you free for a quick catch up? And it'll be through Zoom or through Teams, etc. And that way, I think we find there's a lot more response rates, as opposed to just a private number calling or just a blank email, which is very generic. So I think, again, another email aspect of it all is emails are very much uniform in the sense of they come from systems. A lot of organizations don't personalize their emails that go to specific people. They're just mass emails that go to 100 students, for example, and they quickly pick that up, and I don't think it's very personable for them to respond back to. But that's just a quick thing for me. I don't know what you think, Shannon.
Yeah, I would say I do use email a lot in day-to-day working, but my first protocol would be just try and jump on a quick Teams call if they're free. I definitely use Teams a lot, private message, but yeah, the first thing, even this morning, I had not in the office this morning, so just quickly called one of my colleagues to just tell him what I did yesterday so that he could carry it on this morning.
Brilliant, thank you. One of the challenges I think that we're finding internally about Teams is that, you know, it can be difficult. There can be so many conversations going on all over the place as well. And the other tendency is to jump on it at stupid o'clock in the morning and at night. And, you know, we should be trying to discourage that too. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting, you know, Jamie, watching what the Scottish Government is looking at doing with 4-day weeks and other things. It will be really interesting how we, you know, stick to 4-day weeks if that's what organisations do, and don't kind of use technology to bleed out into that 50 and beyond. But Anas, I wonder if I could just ask you a bit of a question, and I guess it's because I've got a bit of a developing young workforce hat on, but it's clear that your strategy for hiring is a conscious decision to kind of hire from university and to explore the talent that clearly is there at your fingertips. So I just wondered if you've got anything that you could kind of shed a light on why you've chosen to kind of go that route rather than bring young people in via a different route, I guess.
To be honest, I think it's a young program that we have started here across EMEA, and I mean Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We have a well-established program already in America and India for the IPJ regions. But for us, it's just trying out to see what worked for them and trying it out in our kind of regions. And for the UK, it's been amazing. I mean, our numbers have increased at least 60% every year that I've been involved in university hiring. The reason for university hiring is I think the university do a great job to set these individuals for success in the sense of soft as well as core skills, so they can actually have the knowledge to really put into practice from day one and almost hit the ground running. That doesn't mean we don't consider kind of college or younger individuals from their kind of career path from an education standpoint. It's just something we haven't really fully kind of through all our resources to. That doesn't mean that we won't do it. It just means that we haven't tried it out just now. So again, Karen, I'd love to have a catch up with you and see where the support can kind of be built from there. But we do have various apprentices in certain aspects of our business, but in the core areas of our business, in for the likes of Dundee or in London, they do require that kind of knowledge beyond just somebody who's just kind of knows the basics of the aspect of the role or the kind of principles that they will be doing. So it's more the kind of the intricate stuff you would learn at your 3rd or 4th year of your degree, and sometimes even at a master's level. But yeah, I think in general, the early career path is amazing for any business, never mind NCR, just the kind of enthusiasm, the motivation, and just the thinking outside of the box. And you're coming in, and I mean, Shannon's great at it. She questions the status quo. It's like, why do you do that? Why have you done it like that for 135 years? You don't tend to have that mindset if you've been in the company for 30, 40 years. So I think it's regardless of how early in your career path from an education standpoint you're still going to add value to any business. So
Thank you. And I'm conscious of our time, and we've got a brilliant question in the chat. So thank you to Ellen for putting that in. So I'm just going to ask, it is a question for Shannon and Karen, and I think then, you know, if we get the time, we'll come to it and ask as well. And I think we're going to probably lose Mr. Hepburn as he has to go off for his other meeting, but thank you for attending. So the question is, if you had the choice when you started your new job, would you rather have worked in the office or from home? Do you feel working from home is conducive to mental health, as in positive mental health? And do you envisage remote working and learning as the way forward for the future? Karen, do you want to kick off, and then I'll ask Shannon her thoughts?
Yeah, that is a good question. I could really only talk from my personal experience, and if I'm completely honest, I starting a new job from home was incredibly challenging. I think learning, when you're trying to learn, I don't think you realise how much you learn from overhearing when you start a new job, and just the conversations and the phone calls that are happening. However, there are some advantages as well. Personally, I think a blended approach is the way forward. When I look at, you know, how, you know, my team that I've brought on board and how we'll continue to work for the future, it will be that blended approach. And so I think the home working is great for the me time and the getting things done, but for development and the we time, I think office and coming together is really, really beneficial. So yeah, I did, to be fair, I started in this job right at the start of lockdown, where as a business we hadn't really thought about the an online induction, and so I think my experience of coming on board, we've actually been able to work together to shape what an online induction can look like, to make sure that people do get the right training and the right learning experience at the start now.
Great, thanks Karen. Shannon?
Yeah, I'm the same. There's definitely pros and cons. So I started completely remote. The only time I was in the building was for my interview, and then the pandemic hit. So I'd only met my manager, my mentor, for 15 minutes, half an hour. But I think with my project, I personally felt that I actually met more people from the business because it was remote, because it was so easy to just set up an online Teams meeting for half an hour to discuss what I was working on. And I think if you're in the office, people are much more busy. It's hard to get everyone together. However, now I've been working in the office almost full time, kind of since July. And now experiencing that, I prefer it so much more. It's so nice. I've got my own desk now. I've got my desk buddy. So yeah, I've definitely met so many more people. I can now put names to faces. It's amazing how different people look in person compared to on a screen. There are so many people I walk past and then realize I've been speaking to them every day on a call. So yeah, I definitely do prefer being in the office now, but I don't think working from home was the worst. So yeah, a blended approach is probably the best.
Anas, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think like Shannon and like Karen said, the blended approach is definitely the way we're going to move forward. And I think seeing from different kind of articles, etc., it's going to be the norm across different industries as well. But I think the biggest factor that all companies need to think about is that mental health and kind of welfare aspect of working from home, and really emphasizing how home is home as well as work. So not to kind of blur the lines in between, because like you said, you can find yourself working early hours of the day and late at night. So I think it's constantly reminding people of the fundamentals and how you actually successfully work from home when you do.
Great, thank you. So we don't have any more questions in the chat, and I don't have any virtual hands up. And although it's my want is to throw something else in, because we've got like 3 minutes left, I'm not going to do that because then we'll run over time. And if anybody else does have something that's looming just at 11 or just after 11, then we would be late. So I'm not going to do that. Thank you so much. I mean, we could have spoken at length. I was interested even just to explore, you know, we heard recently from some employers that are supporting Kickstart trainees at the moment, helping some young unemployed people that, you know, they've had to pause apprenticeship programs. And we know that more young people are kind of going or staying at school and maybe not coming through the college doors. And you know, we've had young people studying at university and they've not had quite the full experience that they thought they were going to have in the pandemic. And I wonder if not only do we have a future skills bubble, but we have, you know, just a bubble of young people that are not going to come out as trained as they might have because the pandemic's got in their way, or it's impacted people's own self-confidence or mental health. And yeah, I you know, is that going to just add to that problem that we were talking about with the Future Skills Action Plan and what it was supposed to do in 2019 and beyond? So yeah, I think it's definitely something to watch. I hugely appreciate everybody that's taken the time to come on and just have this chat. It's, you know, definitely something that we're going to be doing an awful lot more of, looking at future skills and how we can help employers, you know, pick up all the good habits of what everybody else is doing around, and take the time to step back and think about your future and the plans, and making sure that we are adapting. Got the jobs for the future. We've got all these young people that really want those jobs, and that we're adapting our workforces accordingly. So thank you for being up for the conversation. Massive thank you to Karen, to Anas, to Shannon, to Sarah for getting us organised, and to everybody who attended and kind of took part. Lots and lots more conversation to come, but thank you for your time this morning, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll catch up with you.